Welcome back. This is Mike Gardina with GardinaLifeCoaching.com, and today we're going to talk about how to empower ourselves. So, what is empower? Empower is where people have the power to control their own lives. Unfortunately, a lot of people out there feel disempowered um, and feel like they're in a rut and can't get out of it. Well, what happens is when we have experiences in life, we tell ourselves a story. It tells us a meaning that we believe, and that belief is basically what we believe is true. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, we tell ourselves a story, then we believe it, and that is what we would call a limiting belief, something that you believe in that is true that is actually holding you back. Now, the meaning that we have leads to emotions, and our emotions kind of interact with that. So if we have a very positive meaning to a particular experience or event, it'll lend itself to a positive emotion, and vice versa. If we have a very negative meaning towards an event or an experience, then we're going to end up with a reaction of a very negative emotion. So these emotions that we have basically create action. We react based on those emotions. So for instance, if you have an angry emotion, what do? You tend to want to fight or get very adversarial with somebody. The same is true if you have a very subservient emotion. You feel very withdrawn and you feel like basically you want to go in the room and crawl into a hole. So those actions, those emotions create the action that we actually do. And then of course, those actions create a direction. If we're constantly angry all the time and we're having these emotional issues, well, we tend to go down an angry path, or we're angry at everybody no matter what's going on. The same could be true for if you're happy a lot. And when people were very happy, having a happy emotion for an experience as well, then they tend to always go in that particular direction. They're more optimist, and they experience life that way. That's the direction that they go. So it all starts with the meanings that we give experiences. So let's talk about a couple of examples, both positive and negative. For instance, money. Obviously, money it's a tangible item, a noun, if you will. But people view money in different ways. They have a meaning. Some people look at money being a very positive thing, that I need to have lots of it. I need to be able to afford to buy this, to take care of my family. Money is a very positive thing. Then there's another group of people that would experience money being a very negative thing, where that you have to step on people to get money. You have to lie and cheat in order to be rich. So money has two different meanings depending on the different person that we give it. Relationships. Some people, when they're not in a relationship and they happen to be lonely, if you will, they can't wait. They're looking for that relationship. They desire that relationship. They give it meaning that they're lonely and they want that relationship. Then as soon as they're in the relationship, then they figure out, well, this is some work and I have to actually listen to this other person, and I have to compromise with somebody all the time. I don't like that. And they want to back out of it. So the meanings that you give it go back and forth constantly. And we're telling ourselves those stories. So when we're lonely in that case, we tell ourselves that we need to have that relationship. We're doing anything we can do to get there, which creates action, right? And we actually work and we get that relationship. And then once you have it, you may flip that meeting and say, well, this is not good. I want to actually get back out of it now. The other side looks better. The grass looks greener on the other side. Okay, so let's talk about some negative meanings. For instance, when we tell ourselves, like when things are not going great in our life, when things are just, it seems like one thing after the next is going wrong, we'll tend to tell ourselves a story that, well, I must be stupid, or I don't have any friends, or I'm not smart enough to be able to move on. I can't, why do these things keep happening to me? I can't figure this out. Why is my luck so bad? So we keep telling ourselves these meanings, And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you tell yourself that you're bad, that you're not good enough, you're not worthy, if you will, and then you continue down that same road, and you're just going to keep going in that direction until you make a change and realize that there is a positive meaning in here, that we got to look for that positive meaning. We want to flip the script, if you will, and go in a positive direction. So, for instance, the same kind of scenario where things aren't going great in your life, like, well, stuff happens sometimes. We run into roadblocks. Life is not supposed to be easy. We're not supposed to have it all sprinkles and rainbows. So you have to understand that there are just going to be times in our life when that stuff does happen to us. But when you have a positive meaning to that, it's not going to bring you down. So when those next opportunities might pop up, you're going to be more visible to see them. You're going to be able to see that. Your emotional reaction is going to be more positive. Because the more negative we are, the more negative emotions that we have, we're just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. It's basically like a cycle. You're just going to go down and down and down. And the opposite is true. You tell yourself positive meanings, you're going to go up and up and up, and you'll the snowball effect, and you'll get more positive results. So let's figure out how to change the meaning, because that's the key. We can change the meaning, then we can change your emotion, change your actions, and you're going to go in a different direction. That's the empowering component. Now, it's a simple step on how to do this, but it's not easy to do. Okay, we have a lot of groundwork we have to go over to kind of get rid of that bad meaning, the negative meaning. But we want to first start off with talking to ourselves. And it sounds like it's so simple, and it's not the idea of just positive thinking, let's say. It is, but it's a little deeper than that. We want to get down to your emotions, and we want you to truly believe what you're hearing. And if you tell yourself a certain story, changing that story to a positive connotation. So I challenge you to look at what negative event that you might have experienced recently, and to sit and think about, how can I make that a positive? What is positive about it? It could be that you experienced some form of trauma or abuse. And if you can turn it into that you're a survivor, that you're here, you've survived that, and you're a stronger person from experiencing all that, and moving forward in that direction. If you've had a bad breakup in a relationship, and let's change the meaning to, that person just wasn't the right person for me. Not everybody is for everybody, and let's change the meaning of that. That there are plenty of other women out there that are going to make me even happier than I might have been through that relationship issue, or maybe you lost your job. Sometimes I can tell you countless people that were actually in a job and lost it and ended up with better opportunities because of it. They went in different directions and learned new things. So look at it as an opportunity, not necessarily the bad side. Now, tell yourself daily, whatever that meaning happens to be, and tell yourself daily and keep reinforcing it day in and day out. But we also need to say it and dig into an emotion. You got to believe it. And the more you keep saying it, and the more you emotionally believe that this is actually true, you're going to change the meaning, and you're going to see how it goes. That takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It's not easy to do, but it's not something you're just going, I'm going to tell myself this story today and I'm done. No, it takes a lot of time. You're going to do it day in and day out, multiple times per day, hopefully, for a period of time. Sometimes some people say it could take up to 60 to 90 days of getting to that point, but everybody's different. Some people can make a decision within the 2 or 3 days and flip a switch and, hey, I'm off in the other direction. Other people, it's going to take a little bit more time. To help reinforce it, is look for other people that have experienced similar struggles in their life, that they have flipped around and turned those negatives into positives. I'll mention Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned in South Africa for, I believe it was 20 some years, as a political prisoner. And when he was released, he actually understood that all those guards, and they were all doing their job. He didn't have that animosity feeling against them, because he told himself a different story while he was there. So when he got out, he actually took, I believe, one guard to lunch. He invited another guard to his inauguration afterwards. So he changed those negatives into positives, and when he was released, he went into a positive direction instead of, hey, you know what, I've been in prison for so long and my life is just over. He changed it. Walt Disney is one. He basically went bankrupt. His first cartoon business he had was terrible, basically, where he went bankrupt and he was actually living in his office by himself at the end. And the story goes that there was a mouse that lived in that same office. So he obviously went on and he started another cartoon business, and his first cartoon was centered around this little mouse. And of course, I think you know the rest of the story, so we won't spend more on that. But basically, you need to figure out what's best for you to change that meaning. And sometimes getting somebody else, some professional help to work you through that process and helping to reinforce that or to help you find the better meaning. Because sometimes people get stuck like, how can I take this catastrophe? How can I take this terrible event and create a positive meaning for it? And it's not always easy, but there are ways to do it. There are people that have come back from horrendous things, events out there, by changing the meaning and are able to move on in life and empower themselves to be very productive. So it can be done. It's just a matter of finding the meaning that's positive that will work for you and to keep reinforcing it. So once you have this new meaning that you've got in your mind now, we have to reinforce it with emotion, because emotion is the biggest driver. If we can't believe it, if we don't feel it in our bones, it's just words, and it's just white noise type of stuff. So we've got to link it to an emotion when you get to it. So that's something that is again not easy to do, but figure out what emotion, if it's happiness, if it's a sense of joy, but you have to link that meaning to that experience, that emotion. So in other words, when you're talking about that experience, you want to feel happiness. You want to feel gratitude with it if that's the direction that you're going to go, so that you have that emotion linking to it, and so you can move forward that way. Now that you have a new meaning and you have an emotional attachment to that meaning, then we can look at the actions. Now, the best thing is if you can sit down, if you're a planner type of person, and create the roadmap that you're going to go down, the actions that you want to take to go down a particular path, write them down. And then most importantly, you got to do them, because a plan without any action is basically meaningless. So you've got to take those actions, forcing yourself to take those actions, and you'll be amazed at what happens when you start taking those actions, feeling that better, positive emotion because of that new meaning that you created to empower yourself. And you'll watch your life turn around and change the direction to a more positive direction and see where you go. The sky is the limit. Well, that's all for today. I appreciate you listening in and watching the video. If I can help you with anything in your life, reach out to me at mike@gardinalifecoaching.com, and also visit my website at gardinalifecoaching.com. And I'm here to help. If this video touched you in any way, please hit the like button, and please offer some comments down below. Tell me what future episodes you'd like to hear about, and above all, please subscribe so you don't miss anything that's coming up. And I wish you well and learn to empower yourself. Thanks.